You gotta love a messy workspace. There you go. Sorry, I'm real groggy and tired. I'm on day 7 of my 10 to 14 hour day workloads. And yet I still manage to squeeze a few minutes in to work on a model here and there. Don't know how, but I have. This hasn't been cleaned up because I just haven't had time to work full with it. But anyhow, let's talk about the Mercury 9. I just want to show you, all of you a few things. I've been working the seams on it. And one of the things that I've noticed is some alignment issues, but we'll talk about that real quick. This is the second stage, okay? Now, I did the squeeze method with the seam filling, and the seam's running right along here. And I don't really feel a seam along here at all until I get down here. And then there is like a deficit of plastic or something right there. So that's going to require a little bit of seam filling at the end. I'm going to have to rescribe these panel lines just a teeny bit. This is the one that worries me the most, this insert ring here, with that seam running through the middle of that insert ring. I got to get that cleaned out. So I'm going to have to take and carve down a piece of sanding stick or something so it fits in there. Okay, here's the other side of the seam. Again, I'm going to have to do some seam filling at this end because you can see it. Work our way up. These details, they worry me a little bit. So we'll have to see what I'm doing with the sanding. That needs a little bit more sanding right there, and it'll get it tomorrow. The whole top half of the ship, though, came out beautifully. You can't even see the seams anymore. Okay? I haven't had a model where the seams just kind of melt away like that in a very, very long time. That is my fault. That's where the part attached to the sprue, and I got too aggressive with the clippers. I was trying some new clippers, and, well, they don't work all that well. So that's going to need a good seam filling right there. But that's not that major of a deal. I've dealt with far, far worse than that little notch right there. Let's talk about the first stage, shall we? The big, beefy stage. Okay. The seam, there it is. On the top up here, you can see where it runs. I can barely feel it with my fingers, but it's still there. So that's going to require a little bit of seam filling. That's bad. I got in there with a scraper and I scraped it a little too hard. But I might just leave that because that gives the impression of that it's an access port and the doors aren't quite sealed correctly. So I may leave that. If I can get that to imitate on the other side perfectly, that's going to get left. This needs a little bit of work, but I think that's going to be seam filling. Again, these rings worry me. I'm going to have to get in there with something and sand them real well. Again, another ring with an insert. That's where the part attached to the sprue. Now, I've talked about alignment issues. You can see it a little bit right here, where the edge of that's not 100% squared up. I can take care of that with some seam filling, though. And the seam works along fine. Down here, I didn't bother to fill the seam because that'll be covered with a part. Okay, I just have to clean the seam up right to the edge of that black paint right there. And it's pretty much cleaned up right to that spot. Now let's flip her. The seam on this side here. Again, up here at the top, it's really good. This looks nothing like the other side, so I'm going to go ahead and just smooth those seams out completely. Just get rid of them. Like the bare LED sticking out. Okay. The alignment issues show on this one a lot better right here. Now, there's some ways to deal with that. One, I could just sand that off. Two, I can put a piece of styrene cut decoratively over the top. I'll figure out what I'm going to do, but this does not look anything like that one on this side. If you take a look, they don't look the same at all. Okay? And the seam goes real good along here, except for right in the insert here where I need to get a sanding stick in there. Okay? Now the seams along here, the edge, can't feel them at all. Did a good job sanding them. They remove fairly well. I'm going to hit all this with some of my silver paint in the next day or two and make sure they're good because I can see them. I can feel that one with my fingernail, but that's an insert, so that just takes a little bit of filling. On this one, it's pretty much just gone, except for right along here. It's definitely gone up here. This one, the seam's pretty much gone in most places. Again, inside these rings is going to be troublesome. I'm going to have to get some sort of really small cut sandpaper and get it in there and work it. I'll get it done though. The leading edge of the fins here, all sanded out beautifully on every single one of them. I don't feel anything at all along them. Alright? So there you go. Seam filling's going very well on this model. I suspect I'll have it done with another couple hours worth of work. And then I got to worry about what I'm going to do about these boosters. Obviously, I'm not lighting them because there's no wires to them. You know? Because I don't have to light them this way if I do light them. I've been trying to think what I want to do with that. Because she's not launching, so why would I light the engines down here? Okay? She's sitting at idle waiting to launch. That's why I lit these engines here. Not the ones that go here. Okay? Anyhow, that's where I'm at with the seam filling. Got more work to do. Still haven't even started on the command center over here. She's just sitting idle. Again, work has been taking my life. Okay? I still also have to cut out the insides of these rings, but I'm waiting on that until I'm just ready to do it. Because they're going to get really fragile as they get cut out. And I don't want to mess them up. Damn, work is still controlling my life. 3 more days and it quits. Then I can sit down and start doing some work and some other stuff. So, you can hear it in my voice. Nothing like talking really loud at a pretty good volume so 50 to 70 people can hear you for 10 hours in a row. Some days it was 12 to 14 hours in a row. Tomorrow's a 11-hour day. So I got to get off here. I got to get to bed. I'll talk to you guys later. You know, it's not one thing or another. You pick out a model, you think it's going to be easy to build. We should know better. It's me we're talking here. I never find the easy to build models. I'm going to have to just sit down and build a fine molds model, Star Wars model one day, and just watch the thing flow together. That's what people tell me anyhow. This one's been pretty good so far, until I started noticing something. I'm working on the seams, and let me zoom in a bit here so you guys can see what I'm pointing at. And I know it's a bit washed out because of the way the light is, the way cameras are. You know this central groove along the ship right here? She's nice and robust. I'd say it goes in about 1/16 of an inch. Let me turn it to the other side. I've been filing it and working it, but when I first noticed, it went in about 1/32 of an inch. It looked horrible, and it still looks pretty bad. But I've been working it, and when we look at a side profile, watch it along this edge, because you'll be able to see it better along that edge as I turn the ship. You're going to see it get weaker and weaker and weaker, and then it gets strong again as we turn the ship. That's mold. That's not anything I've done with it. There's no way that's something I've done with it. Because part of that, I've not sanded anywhere near it for it to go weak like that. I mean, it's weak way over here, far, far away from the seam line. First I thought it was something I did when I was sanding, but no, not when it's weak, far away from the seam line. I'm getting it. I've just been working on it for an hour and a half, trying to get it evened out around the perimeter of the ship. Funny thing is, it's on the side, no one's going to see anyhow. Just the way we are. Still hasn't dried out, so I can't paint the inside of this. I'll probably have to wait until tomorrow to do that. But before I go to bed, this thing's getting hit with some Mr. Surfacer and some other stuff. I need to get progressing. I'll be back later. Alright, working on Mercury 9. And there's some details along here, along the seam, that I'm not a big fan of. It's not that it's bad detail. It's just, why do you put raised detail along a seam like this? So what I'm going to do is remove these two smaller circles. And I'm thinking about removing these too, these raised parts. And I'm going to replace them. Now, I don't have a hole punch set. I looked. Micromark has one. I read bad things about it. The other hole punch sets I find are expensive. So, while I'm walking around the craft store, I see these. Now, these punchers have come a long, long way. There are lots of different sizes, lots of different shapes. And I got myself a piece of fairly thick styrene here. And I was looking at this thing. This is exactly the same shape I need. So I'm punching out some circles. You can see it holds that very well. And this is pretty thick styrene. I cracked it right there. And you can see I was experimenting with some of the other sizes too. It holds it pretty good. And the thing is, I'm looking for the holes. So I'm just getting me a couple holes. Alright, that should be enough holes for my replacement parts. Open the collection bin, shake, and I have me some little itty bitty perfect styrene circles. 4 of them. Okay, let me show you a couple of them, if they will cooperate. They're a little on the thick side, but they'll work just beautifully on this Mercury 9 for what it is I'm looking for. And you can see they're perfect. Okay, these things are $3. I know, pink handles, but they're, yeah, that is kind of bad. I should have gotten some without pink handles. But they were $3.50 a piece. And the Micromark hole punch set, if I remember correctly, was around $30. And it had 7 different holes. No, it only had like 4 or 5 different holes. So it was far more expensive than these. Okay? And the Micromark set, granted, I could put in the middle of a sheet of styrene and punch holes out. Don't think I could use it to punch a hole in the side of this, though. So, no drawbacks there. And again, $3.50 versus the Micromark set that I've heard is not all that good. And that, yeah, I'll have a hard time placing the hole precisely where I want it on a sheet of styrene. A little bit of practice I won't, though. I'm not disappointed in this. And again, they come in many different sizes. I thought I bought a square one, and it turns out it was rectangular, and the rectangular one can't punch hole through this thick styrene. It really gave it a good try, though, but I'm going to break it if I try it on this thick styrene. If I get some thinner styrene, it's just going to punch a hole straight through it. And it's going to be perfect for the, those. So I'm probably going to scrape them off, just like I did the Millennium Falcon, and replace them. Because here, let me zoom in on this. Okay, let me take one of these. Oh, one of them. Can all of you see that it is, I can't tilt it up too much, but the circles are almost precisely the same size. So I'll be able to remove that and put that right back on there. A little bit of sanding and smoothing with some high-grade sandpaper. It'll look like it was just part of the ship. So I'm going to get after it. I'm going to scrape those off because they've been bugging me. I'm going to scrape the other details off the side of this ship, and we're going to replace them with some hole punch things. I'll be back later. We're on our way to Estes Park, and we're about 10 miles out of it, entering Pinewood Springs. Hard to believe how much the area changes just 30 miles outside Denver, maybe 40. Because we're about 30-40 miles outside Denver right now. It's amazing how much the climate changes. What are you thinking, Nellie?
I'm loving it.
You loving it?
Oh, there,
like
than
scenery.
the pressure in my head.
The change in pressures is catching her. As we go up and down the mountains, the pressures change. Go that way. Yeah, we didn't opt for the traditional honeymoon or something like Niagara Falls, Las Vegas. He went to Colorado. After living in Texas, this is a huge, huge change, isn't it?
Yeah.
You also feel the air temperature's changing as we go up this way. Isn't it? Definitely cooling off. Found ourselves another camera moment right there. You'll see it in a minute. The trees will clear out. There's no growth on the top of those mountains simply because they're too high up in altitude. Quite a bit of snow on the top of them still as well. It's making me think Trail Ridge Road is not open. There's too much snow up there. And they won't open it if there's a lot of snow and ice. So we'll see. You liking that, huh?
Yes.
We passed him earlier.
So, which are those mountains?
I don't know the names of them. 4 miles to Estes Park. It's probably down in the valley up there. There we go. Nice photo moment.
Wow. My goodness.
I should stop. I should take
Yeah.
some photos. I don't know if I can. I'll have to U-turn. Because that's a perfect spot to take photos. This isn't too many trees. I can U-turn here.